Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Shelley Lowry Talent Talks. It's just Gary and myself today. Hello, Gary.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try.
How are you, my darling?
I am very well. How are you? What an episode last week was with Mickey Bartlett.
So fun.
So fun. Like, we had such a good time recording that. And from the feedback and stuff out there, everybody else really enjoyed it. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. But how have you been?
Really good. Again, I say this every time you ask me, really good, but I have to say I have been great. So we've had a very exciting couple of weeks. Two of our actors had callbacks for two separate huge shows, like enormous Netflix, unbelievable.
Massive gigs.
Yeah, massive gigs. And I get as excited about the callbacks as I do about the jobs. I get excited about self-tapes. Anybody gets asked for a self-tape.
Yeah.
And I think, I hope that never leaves me, you know, that excitement, because it's the potential of that opportunity.
Well, that's the thing. It's like every step is so important, you know. As an actor myself, like not booking the role, obviously that is the goal. But even to get the tape, to be seen by the casting director, that they want to see what you can do, like that in itself is a win.
It is,
you know,
a huge
and then
win.
getting a recall, an even bigger win. So the fact that these two guys or girls, because I don't know who we're talking about, have got this, like recalls for massive global shows.
Yeah, with the biggest casting teams in the world.
Snaps for them and snaps for Shelley Lowry Talent.
Yeah, well, obviously their talent is what gets them that next step. But what I love is how we can help to nurture that talent and channel it and make sure that they get those opportunities.
Absolutely.
So yeah, as you say, it's a team.
It's a team, and that's
effort.
how it works.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
So what are we going to talk about today, Gary?
Well, I think the people want to know, first of all, what we've been getting up to ourselves.
Okay.
So I will go first. So I've had an up and down week.
Okay.
So we talked about redirection, and I really put that into place the last week. I found out two roles that I went for I didn't get, and I felt my feelings in my process for them a couple of hours, and then the next morning I woke up and I went, something else is on its way.
Good.
And, you know, that's my mindset, and I know it's not the case for everybody, but my advice is to try and get there, because you can't let it slow you down. You just have to get up and get on with it.
Yeah.
But also, I was away in Ballycastle for a couple of days.
Beautiful.
You know, Ballycastle's my safe space. I love it. It's just, with everything we do, it's so, you know, theatrical and like on and talking to people, which I love. Like, that's most of my personality. But I also love getting away and, you know, clearing the mind, going for a walk by the ocean and all of that. So I love Ballycastle. I had a wonderful time, and I actually have a gift for you, Shelley.
You do?
I do. So
goodness.
close your eyes.
My eyes are closed.
This is from Ballycastle Beach, a shell for Shelley.
Oh, thank you.
Throw that over to you.
Oh, I love shells.
There you go.
Oh, that's so sweet of you to even think of me. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it was actually Ben said this, and he was like, a shell for Shelley, and I went, oh, let's bring it home for her.
And who's Ben?
Who's Ben? We'll get into that later. We'll get into that another time, couple of weeks maybe. But yeah, we went over to the Carrick rope bridge.
Okay.
And so we found, and I didn't even know this was a thing, and honestly, I am so obsessed. We found a rock, and it was like hand painted, turned it round, and it had a hashtag with a Facebook group.
Right.
And it said, you know, like, travel this on or something like that.
Ooh.
So I looked it up on the Facebook group, and basically what people do, and I didn't know this, is hand paint rocks and then hide them all around the world. And when someone finds them, they then take it on to somewhere else.
Wow.
So there was 4 lovely American girls who were taking photos of us too, and then I was taking photos of them, and you know me with a camera, so I was down on my knees getting the angles and all for them. They wanted me to come on the rest of their trip, and I was like, unfortunately, ladies, you can't afford me. But I then thought, oh, they're all American, I'm going to give this rock to them. So I give it to them, and then they says, oh, we're going to take this to France next. And on the Facebook group, it came from the USA. So it came from America to Ireland, and then it's gone to France. And I just thought, oh my God, I didn't know this existed.
Don't you just love humans?
Yeah.
I love that.
Like, so nice.
Yeah.
So
That's
nice.
exciting.
So yeah, that has what my week has looked like, and it's been lovely.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very
What
good.
about you? Up to anything interesting?
So I went to see the brilliant Cuckoo Land. Amazing performances. We have Orla Mullen in there and Alison Harding and
two
Howard.
queens.
Oh, Queens,
Queens,
powerhouses,
yeah.
brilliant. And the wonderful Paula McFettridge and Kibosh,
Yeah.
you know, like, so Alex came over from London to see it.
And I didn't get to see him. Hi, Al. I miss you.
So it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So hopes for it to go on to other places potentially as
Brilliant.
well. So yeah, so it was really, really good. And then we did something different. Anna and I, we were out on a corporate gig where we were helping staff develop confidence and to overcome imposter syndrome in the workplace.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, something a wee bit different. So we're using drama techniques, actioning and stuff like that. So
we're taking the training to corporate.
yes, occasionally I would get asked to do things like that.
That's so fab.
And yeah, and I do enjoy it because it marries up then my degree from Manchester in business and then with the acting techniques then that we employ day to day. So
That's
yeah.
amazing. Love that.
It
She
is.
does it all, ladies and gents. But you spoke about Alison and Orla there. So I have, obviously I know them both, but I went to see Follies and I know that you did too. And both the
Amazing.
ladies was in that. And
yeah.
it was nominated for so many awards.
Yeah.
And honestly, I went to see it twice.
Cameron Menzies is a genius.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
I went to see it on the opening night with my friend Tori. Hi, Tori. And then I was like, oh, this is phenomenal. So I booked another ticket to go on the Tuesday night, which you and Alex and Georgia
Yes.
were all there, bumped into you. Amazing. And then I seen Orla in The White Handkerchief in Derry.
Yes.
Blown away.
Yeah.
They are two unbelievable women,
Yeah.
fantastic actors and great people as well.
And singers.
It's like, oh my, like,
Yeah.
I like sobbed
Yes.
both times. So
Aw.
good. So you have some amazing talent on the roster.
Oh, very, very lucky. Very lucky
Yeah.
indeed. Yeah.
But I also wanted to jump into the people have been asking Shelley, you know, our introduction, they loved it, but
Okay.
it wasn't enough for them.
Oh.
They want to know more about us.
Okay.
So I think it would be fun to dive a wee bit more into, you know, Top of the Pops.
Yes.
And then after that, we'll maybe get into some other jobs that we've done
Okay.
and have a wee chat about that.
Yeah.
So tell us more about Top of the Pops. I could listen to them all day.
Well, I have to say, it was a dream come true to work on Top of the Pops. I grew up here being like hyper fixated on the show. So
Yeah.
so back in the day when there was only 4 channels on your TV, Top of the Pops was on a Thursday evening before it moved to its Friday evening slot, and it was on at 7:30 p.m. and I counted down the days. And to begin with, some of my earliest memories are pretending to be in Legs and Co. So they had like a dance troupe that would dance to some of the numbers if the artists couldn't turn up to perform, right?
Right.
So it was really inappropriate because it was scantily clad women, right,
Right.
who were impossibly glamorous.
Yeah.
And the theme each week, you know, they would think about the song and how they would translate it into like the routine.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that's what I want to be. I want to be one of those women in Legs and Co. And my favourite was a woman called Cherie, who I ended up getting to Cherry, who I ended up getting to meet years later. But like, imagine that, you know, being a child dancing behind the sofa and making
know.
my mum and dad watch me, to then fast forward to years later. But the thing about the show was, it was in your living room, then you had access to all these different styles, culture, music, you know, all these different genres. And it was so inspiring. You know, I took fashion inspiration from it
Yeah.
and, you know, like I just, hairstyle inspiration. I just loved it. So always dared to dream, like my whole life, I've kind of dared to dream, well, what if I got to do this? And do you think I could maybe try and do that? And so this was one of the things was maybe someday I'll get to work on Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
So
Dare to dream. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah.
And that is a message for everybody listening and watching. Dare to dream.
yeah,
Go after it.
because guess what?
Dreams can come true.
Exactly.
Just look at you.
So yeah, very, very lucky. Went to London after university and initially was doing management training with Marks and Spencer, which was a really difficult thing to get into. And I was really grateful to Marks and Spencer. They moved me over to London and housed me and everything for a while. And I did,
Fab.
I did their commercial management training program and then went, what am I doing? What, I'm in London. The streets are paved with gold here. I could be doing something much more exciting. That's
Yeah.
right up my street. So I decided to work for free at the BBC for a while. So that was the way to do it back in the day. You know, there was no complaints about unpaid
Yeah.
internships or
It's just the way it was.
it was just the way it was. And you were really lucky to get in. So I made my way around a number of different shows. So I was started off in children's BBC. So Short Change, I worked on that. I did a couple of days in Blue Peter, just like sort of shadowing. And then I moved around and went to Watchdog. And I answered the phones in the background, and Anne Robinson was hosting. I did that. And then I went and knocked on the door. I worked on the Ozone as well. Do you ever remember the Ozone?
No.
So Ozone was like a bit cooler music TV show, which was on BBC Two.
That's maybe why I don't know what it is. I wasn't a cool kid.
Well, and it might have been before your time, you know. I can't remember when it actually came off air, but it was really good because I met Pink and all on that.
Alicia Moore, that's her real name. That's how you know I'm a real fan. Love her.
Yeah.
Seen her like 12 times live.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Do you know she's a lovely person in real life?
love to hear it.
She's really lovely.
I think Pink is one of the most underrated pop stars
Yeah.
ever. She is phenomenal.
Yeah, she's
does it
really
all.
lovely. So yeah, that was met her the first time there, and then I met her again at Top of the Pops in the Star Bar. Met a few people in the Star Bar actually.
The Star Bar?
Yeah,
Talk to the people. What is the Star Bar?
So the Star Bar was the brainchild of my boss, right? So my boss was Chris Cowie, and Chris Cowie loved a party, right? Worked hard, creative genius, super talented, but loved a party. And when we moved to Television Centre from Bournemouth, he had this idea, I'll build a Star Bar and that'll encourage the pop stars to chill and mingle and hang out and all. And we can get footage for, you know, the spin-off shows and the magazine and all of that. And he was right because, you know, he brought in a cocktail guy, mixologist from Soho that he knew called Tim and Katrina, who now live in Canada. And they made all of these amazing cocktails and the stars hung out with us
They
in the Star
flocked
Bar.
in.
Yeah.
They flocked in.
And so Pink was there,
Right.
really funny. There was like a fight broke out between a model and somebody. And she was like, this is so exciting. I said, I'm so sorry you've had to see this. She was like, no, I'm so bored. I'm on tour and nothing happened.
Yeah.
This is brilliant. And so she was really good fun.
Love it.
Yeah.
Any other stars that came in?
Yes. So I have a funny story about the lovely Jamie Dornan, if we're going to keep it Northern Irish.
Oh, Jamie Dornan. I think I
So-
mentioned him in the first episode as well, but you don't need to send a cease and desist. I'm not going to stalk you, I promise.
So I mentioned in the first episode that I had been over in LA with Jamie Dornan and
Yeah.
Katrina for Belfast. And during that trip, the first trip, we went to New York. And the reason we went to New York was, you know, there's like various tastemaker events, they call them, in the run up to the Oscars. And we were at the Museum of Modern Art. And the reason was Jamie and Sir Kenneth Branagh, etc., were going to meet Jim Sheridan and Bono. So
Fab.
yeah, really, really cool, exciting time. And we were waiting for the photo opportunity. And Jamie came in and he said, what are we doing here? And I said, oh, you guys are meeting Bono. And he said, oh, I've already met Bono. And I said, oh, yeah, I've already met Bono.
Mic drop.
And he said, where did you meet Bono? And I said, in my old job. And he said, what was your old job? And I said, oh, I worked on Top of the Pops. And he went, you worked on Top of the Pops? And I was like, yes, I did. Yes, actually, I did.
Snaps for me.
And he said, oh my goodness. He said, do you remember One True Voice? And I said, yes.
Is that the other band from Pop Stars with Girls
Like Pop
Aloud?
Stars, The Rivals, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember them now.
Yeah.
It's all coming back to me now.
And he said he used to go in to the Star Bar with his friend from One True Voice. And I said, well, yeah, you were probably introduced to me then, you know. Like,
But I just didn't remember you because, you know.
There's quite a lot of Northern Irish people, you know, but anyway. But what made me, it tickled me so much was like later on, he came on and he went, I can't believe that you worked on Top of the Pops. He said, when I went to the Star Bar, I felt I had made it. How funny is that?
That's so funny.
He's so lovely. He's so lovely.
But it just, I think the calibre and like how big Top of the Pops was.
It was.
Like, it was huge. Obviously, I was very young, but I remember like everybody talked about Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
Like when we went to school and all, like that's all anybody talked about.
Well, that's it. So at one time in the UK, 24 million people tuned in to Top of the Pops on a Thursday night.
That is
24 million.
mad. Like, you don't get numbers like that anymore.
No.
At all.
No, you don't. And so it was hugely influential, it was hugely influential. And when I started to work on it, then and towards the end of the show, because then the charts became obsolete, really. You didn't have the same countdown. I mean, that was the big excitement. Every Thursday or Friday night was, say you wanted to follow your favorite pop star as they made their way up the chart. You were hoping like, Aha was going to be number one this week. And then they were, and you were like, yay! Like, you were really invested, And so, it was to be there in the studio. It was a magical place. Like, every week was so exciting. And my boss, thank goodness, he used to say, if you come into the show, you must sing live.
Love it.
So like, to be as close to you and Chris Martin Coldplay playing Trouble on the keyboard and singing live, and and
what an experience.
Brilliant.
Like, I, as a singer myself, like, I think that is one of the first memories that I have when I was young, was watching Top of the Pops, being like, I want to do that.
Yes.
Like, and like, that's mad that you were working away, and like, that's just so cool.
Oh yeah,
it is so cool. Yeah,
I really, really.
And you
love
said
it.
earlier on that you used to count down the days until the next show. Like, that just means so much that you love your job that much that you were literally, I can't wait to get back to work.
Yeah, I used to count down the days until the show was on.
Right.
Whenever I was a child, when I was there, we worked really hard.
Yeah.
We did work really hard, and the whole team were very, very close knit, and like, it was a really, really brilliant time. It was a dodgy time for fashion, because it was,
I've seen some pictures of you from back in the day. Oh, we'll have to dig them out and pop them on the screen somewhere.
I thought I was the last word in style in that, but Custo Barcelona top, I think it was. Back in the, I know. What on earth was that?
No, but at the time it was probably really fashionable.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, it says what time. It said at the time. It just gave me the time. At the time.
At the time.
It was. But it's cringy now whenever you look back at it. But
is there anybody from Top of the Pops that you'd still talk to, or anybody that you worked with that you're still friendly with?
Yes. So one of my really good friends, this is quite a nice wee story actually. One of my really good friends, Charlotte Cave, is a hairdresser, right? And she has a number of salons in London now, and she was like a brilliant. I used to go to her when it was over her sink in her house.
Yeah.
And now she has salons in Balham and Clapham and Dulwich and she started to do Liberty X's hair and makeup.
Love Liberty X.
S Club 7's hair and makeup.
Just a little. Just a little.
So that's
Loved.
So
this is literally my childhood.
Yeah.
Like, I went to see Liberty X and all in the waterfront, I think.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, bless them. Do you remember Jessica from Liberty X?
Yeah.
She and her mom hugged in the Star Bar and cried when they got to number one. It was such a lovely moment to walk past them and be like, oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
So nice.
Love it.
So Hearsay, do you remember them?
No, I was obsessed. Kim Marsh.
Yes.
I've never got over the crush.
Oh.
Never. I loved Kim Marsh because if I remember correctly, at the time, she was a little bit older than the rest of them.
Yes.
She was a mum. She was a young mum.
Yeah.
And like, I always root for an underdog.
Yes.
So like, from the very beginning, I was like, Kim Marsh is the one. And then obviously they did so well. Pure and simple gonna be. Like, loved them.
So I have a signed CD single of Pure and Simple, right? That's so funny. So they were coming in. Obviously, the papers were full of it in the run up to it. And you'd thought there'd never been a pop group ever before.
Yeah.
Like, it was whoever did all of their advertising, marketing, and PR was a genius.
Yeah.
And I went to Selfridges on the night before we were recording, and I knew that Mylene and everybody, they were coming in. And Mylene was looking at tops beside me, and I walked up to her and said, excuse me, Mylene, my name's Shelley Lowry, and I work on Top of the Pops, and I just want to say you're coming in tomorrow. And she was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. She says, you never know who you're standing beside ever. And I was like, yeah, well, that's actually a very true thing as well.
Yeah.
You never know who you're standing beside.
Literally.
And she said, would you come and meet me? I said, I'm really nervous. Would you come and meet me whenever I arrive tomorrow? I said, no problem. Hilarious thing was the Ozone that I was talking to you about, it was like the phone zone then it became, because it went onto one of the digital channels and you could ring in. It was like interactive.
Right.
and they were doing a special on Hearsay arriving and all. So I'm
You're
seeing
in
what,
it.
yeah, and welcoming them all in, and hi guys, and come on, walk up with me up to the studio and everything.
I love it.
I know, it's
And
too
that's so
funny.
cute that Miley was like, I'm nervous. Can you come meet me?
I
Oh,
know, I
that's so
know,
lovely.
I
And
know.
then obviously Kim Marsh went on to be an actress.
Yes.
She was in Coronation Street and one of my favourite programmes ever, Waterloo Road.
Oh yeah.
She's
Yeah.
been in that for a number of seasons now.
Yes.
So I feel like I've followed Kim Marsh from literally Hearsay.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what it was. I just loved her.
Oh yeah.
Just thought she was class.
Yeah, they were good.
But Hearsay was, oh, I loved them.
Yeah.
That's mad though. That's such a good story. It really, really is.
And then my friend Ben Cogan, who is a casting director
Yeah,
as well.
I've met him.
You've met him.
Yes.
So we met in Borehamwood. He worked on EastEnders
Yeah.
and I worked on Top of the Pops. There's that big, long corridor in Elstree. And he rang me and he said one of the actors on EastEnders, Jack, who was she married to? Kim Marsh was married to. Jack somebody.
It's Jack.
I can't remember, but we'll
We'll
insert
figure
it.
that out.
We'll put this in
Yes.
and
Oh,
later
what's
on.
his name? That's going to annoy me now.
I don't know. Anyway, so rang and said, look, he's a huge fan of Kim. Do you think we could organise it that they could meet? And, and Kim wanted to see the EastEnders set, blah, blah. So we organised it. Now, it was way above our pay grade to even be doing that, you know what I mean? But we did it. And as Ben famously says, and then they went on to have a terrible marriage and a terrible divorce.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, all thanks to us.
All thanks to you. Oh, that's class.
I know.
Such a good story.
I know. It was good. It was such good fun. Yeah.
It sounds like you had the best time on Top of the Pops.
Did love it. It
Hard
was,
work, obviously.
Yeah. It was hard work, but that's one thing I've never been afraid of is hard work.
Yeah.
So
I think that's why we get on so well.
yeah.
I'm not afraid of hard work either.
Yeah.
Like, bring it on.
Yeah, you have to keep.
Keep trucking.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Nobody's going to do it for you.
Yeah, that's true.
People
That's
can
true.
help you, but you're the one that has to do it.
Yeah, that's it. And what about, so talking about that and about your recording career, so you've got this pop voice, which is really great, lends itself to like such commercial sound.
Thanks.
Yeah, but actually in saying that, you did an audition not that long ago and you had to do a more traditional sounding recording. It was so beautiful, like
Yes.
so pure, your tone's so pure. So where did you learn your craft for singing? Did you do lessons? Tell us all about that.
So, thank you for saying that. I know exactly what audition you're talking about because you actually texted me and says, wow, I didn't know that your voice could do that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, versatility.
Yes.
And I actually really enjoyed that. Didn't get the role, but hey ho, I got the approval of Miss Shelley. But I never did any official training.
Okay.
I learnt myself. I just knew from a very, very young age that I loved music. So we're going to get a bit deep here. But when I was growing up, especially in my early teens, I always knew that I wasn't like everybody else, and for me, music was such an escape. Like my granny and mummy used to call me Flowers in the Attic because
Aw.
I literally went to school, came home, went to my room, and at the time had my red Sony Walkman.
Yes.
Shock proof. I remember it was like my first ever music device, and I would just sit and listen to music and just know that this is what I want to do. Like this is what gives me the escape. So I never had any formal training, but I just knew it was something that I loved.
Yes.
And as I got older, I knew I could sing. I did. I was in Down and Connor Cathedral Boys Choir for a number of years, and we performed all around Ireland at times, so that was really fun. And then when I got to bigger school, up in the years, I would do all the school plays. So then I started acting, and I was like, wow, I'm marrying two things that I love here: the acting, the singing. And then I remember I got a solo at church once with school, and I didn't tell anybody about it, not even my family. And then my mum and my granny found out about it, showed up at the church. This is how far I was so not confident. When I was younger, I didn't have any confidence. And I did my solo. And then after, my mum and gran come up to me and was like, oh my God. And everybody was like, you have such a good voice. So that was the first moment that I went to myself, oh, maybe I'm good.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do this. And then over the years, I started doing drag. So I was a drag artist for nearly 8 years. And I really think that by doing drag, I started to then perform live and sing live. And that's where I really started to find my confidence.
Okay.
You know, it's a character, you know, it kind of brings it back to acting. But through the character of Sasha Fierce, I then had the confidence to do it myself.
Yes.
So then I hung up the heels. I had a really bad breakup in 2019, and I wrote my first song. I always knew that, like, even if it was only one, I wanted to write and record my own song,
Okay.
which I did. And it was coming out in the end of March in 2020. So COVID had just hit,
Yes, of course.
and my song was already on the distribution sites because it takes 4 to 5 weeks for it to properly get out there. So I sat in my bedroom when my first song, like my lifelong dream, happened, and I was sitting in the house being like, well, this is pure class. And then my granny's screaming up the stairs about dinner because I didn't do a dish or something. And I was like, this can't be real life. But no formal training. I think, like, singing in the car, in the shower, like, just doing it. And, like,
And
as
does your
I've got,
mum sing?
no, nobody in my family sings.
Right, okay. That's so interesting.
I know. Well, to be fair, actually, like, my mum, she wouldn't sing, but, like, every now and then when you have a drink, and, like, she's done, like, wee karaoke things on holiday, and she actually can really hold a tune. I tell her all the time, Mummy, you have a good voice. But it's not something that she's ever... But I try to get them to sit down and be like, no, sing that and do this, and they just have no interest.
Yeah.
But I do actually think my mum has a good voice, but she just doesn't do anything with it.
No, it's maybe an undiscovered talent.
Yeah,
Maybe.
we'll get her on here and we'll get her some training.
Give her a wee Prosecco.
Give her, there you go, Prosecco, and she'll let the pipes out.
So my mother was a singer.
Yes.
So she was a contralto opera singer.
Unreal.
I know. And so that's where I think my love of music and everything came from. Like my confirmation name, for example, is Cecilia, which is the patron saint of music. And,
Oh, yeah, I
you
love
know,
it.
yeah. So a bit like you, always obsessed with music as well too, and loved the escapism side of it. You know, there's something so therapeutic.
So therapeutic.
Yeah.
Like, I find writing music, so all of my songs that I released, so I think I've released 11 songs before Love in Belfast, and I wrote them all from personal experience, and they were so therapeutic. So, like, my first song was called Did You Ever Really Love Me? And people say to me, like, singing that live, does that really? And I went, no, that makes me feel so empowered.
Yeah, it's cathartic.
It's so, like, I never really got any, like, closure, as they say, so I made my own.
Good.
And my own closure was that song, and then I was able to put that to bed.
And do you read and write music, or
I can kind of read a little bit, but I'm by no means a professional. I actually said to Tori when we were in Panta rehearsals last year, I was like, teach me how to read music properly. That I don't do regrets, because I think everything happens for a reason, but it's the one thing. I used to learn, like, violin and stuff when I was at school, but I didn't want it at the time. I was a kid. That's the only thing. I wish I had stuck with an instrument.
I know, but you can say hindsight. I know.
You know what I mean? But and I don't regret it, because I've had a wonderful life. Sorry, it's like I've had a wonderful life. It's been wonderful, and it's time to buy out. But no, I've had a great life. Obviously, like, nobody's perfect, and ups and downs and all that. Like, we know that. But I do now and again think, oh, I would love. And, like, 2 years ago, I started learning piano.
Okay.
And my tutor was like, you have picked the hardest instrument to learn. And then, unfortunately, Maddie passed away.
Oh.
So he was actually one of my producers with Black Studios, Jessica Hammond, Maddie Graham, who produced all of my music.
Yeah.
Jess, I worked really closely with Jess, who's now moved to America. So I'm on the lookout for a new producer. Hit me up, people. But yeah, I wish that I had have kind of learnt to stick with that. But just at the minute, no. But hopefully I'll get back, because I bought myself a piano and all.
Right.
You know,
okay.
I have it in the house. It's a big, massive keyboard. And I would like to maybe
So
return.
lovely.
Yeah.
To be able to do that.
The dream eventually, even if it takes me till I'm 50, would be able to be on a stage, play piano for one of my own songs.
Yeah.
You know, which is, it's
That's a good-
doable. I
that's a
can
good
do
goal,
that.
yeah.
So that's one of the goals.
So Top of the Pops, just to go back a wee bit on that. So I started working on the history of Top of the Pops first, which was like from 1964 to that present day. At that point, it was 1999. So we're doing it for the turn of the millennium.
1999, I was 8.
Wow. I'll not tell you how old I was, and you can just work it all out.
12.
Thanks. And so it was a great job, because I had this encyclopedic knowledge of, like, from I was 6 maybe up until that time, because I watched it every week and I remembered things like whenever the mics failed or whenever there was something weird happened. And I remember the producers that I was working with at the time, Jeff Simpson, was one of them, and Elliot, I can't remember, bless Elliot's second name, but Jeff Simpson was like, how do you remember all of this? And I'm like, I'm a nerd, like I'm totally top of the pops nerd.
I am a nerd.
I am quite happy to admit it. And then I got a job working as international coordinator and then international production executive on Top of the Pops.
Oh.
And I did that up until I left London then.
Yeah.
But I came back to Northern Ireland after Top of the Pops and thought, what am I going to do? And I still wanted to work in TV, but there really wasn't much happening here just yet. It was 2002, so it was just before, Game of Thrones and, all of that sort of stuff. So that's whenever I started the school in 2002. So it's nearly 25 years.
That's mad.
It's 25 years in September.
But I think as well, like
next year, 25 years, September 2002. Yeah, next year.
Yeah, next year. Mm-hmm. I think that if you hadn't have come home, I always think about like, one small choice can change so much. Mm-hmm. And like, if you hadn't have come home, started the school and did all that, like, you would obviously be somewhere completely different. Life would look completely different. But also as well, like, I think about, we might not have met each other.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Because where I was going was, so I'd worked on Top of the Pops awards. There was only ever 2 award shows done, and I worked on the first one. And Jennifer Lopez, Nelly Furtado, Mariah Carey,
the divas.
Yeah. It was like, I have loads of stories even from that.
Oh, another episode.
But the dream then was, right, what can I go and do next? I really loved that idea. And I'd reached out to people who were working on the Brit Awards and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, maybe that might be a nice sort of area to move into. And I'd really supportive bosses who were really keen for me to keep developing. And but then my mum died. So she was only 52 and it was a complete shock. And so that's what brought me back here. But yeah, it is interesting how life happens. You have all of these plans. And my mother used to always say that, like you just never know the minute. And
never know the minute.
Yeah. And you just have to make the most of what you're doing at that particular moment in time.
Yeah.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Like all of those nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's actually why you came home.
Yeah.
So I knew,
it
obviously,
me so much. And my boss at the time at Top of the Pops, he said, look, because he'd been through something similar. So his mummy or his daddy had not dropped dead. I hate to say that, had died suddenly. Mm-hmm. And then the other parent had been ill for a while. And he said, we're your family now and stay here. But my heart was so broken.
Yeah.
That I just couldn't, because London, you have to be really hard, and here there's such a better sort of the community, because I grew up here. I felt more supported here than I did there. So that's why I came back, and yeah, I've no regrets about coming back at all, because Northern Ireland is the best place on the planet.
It is, and look at us now. But you said something that really struck a chord with me about the community, and I so agree. Like, I have been through a lot of loss as well, and the people around you, even people that don't even know, I just think we're the friendliest people in the world.
Oh, we are.
Not everybody, but majority, they do. Like, we're such a lovely bunch of people. Mm-hmm. Like, even when I was down in Ballycastle, people walking past you, hiya, just really warm people. Yeah. And I think we have a lot of empathy, because we kind of all know, people go through stuff, and we have to be there for them. Yeah.
And look, I had great friends in London who were very supportive of me. But because it's such a huge place, like, you couldn't just ring somebody on a Wednesday and say, can I see you tonight? They may have lived 4 tube rides away. And everybody's really busy in London. We're all there for the same reason. Like, we're all there to make the most of careers. It's a transient community. You're there for a few years and then you move on out to wherever to settle. And but that I think that's such a huge thing. I know that life can change in the blink of an eye as well, and so to never take anything for granted,
100%,
and just to keep working and keep, as you say, trucking on is really
important.
Keep
trucking on, keep the lovely people in your corner, and just keep going. Love it. I wanted to talk about the time I went to London
Oh, yes, of course.
for Ray.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us about that.
Global superstar. We thought this would be a lovely story to tell everybody. Ray. So I seen an application online to apply to be in one of her music videos. And I thought to myself, well, I'm good enough to do that. So I did. I applied for it and I got it. And went over to London. It was the video for, it was actually at the time called Let There Be Light, but then it was changed before it came out to Genesis. And we filmed in the Shepherd's Bush.
Yeah, Shepherd's Bush Empire.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. So Alanis Morissette there.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I flew over in the morning, and my flight was a little delayed, so I was stressing out. I was like, I'm going to miss my opportunity. And I just emailed the production team and they says, nope, it's okay. Don't worry. Thank you for letting us know. And that was grand. So we got there, waited in line, were brought in, ushered in. And like throughout the day, there was maybe 3 or 4 different like groups of people brought in. And when we were sitting upstairs, lo and behold, this vision in red came up, sat down. Ray herself came up, sat with us for half an hour.
Wonderful.
Chatting away.
Yeah.
Just talking away, so down to earth. And it wasn't long after, obviously, the album had come out and she talked about her story about going independent because her record label had blocked her for years about releasing music.
Yes.
Now, I'm a huge Ray fan. Like, I've seen her now 3 times live. 2 was 2 very intimate shows, smaller venues, which I love. You really get to know an artist, I think, from doing them smaller gigs before they kind of blow up. And then not so long ago in Dublin, she's just so talented. But when we were recording the video, I had made a comment saying, oh, it was worth the flight from Belfast. And she heard me and she went, what did you say? And I went, oh, I flew over from Belfast this morning. And she jumped off the stage, came down, gave me the biggest hug.
Aww.
And was like, I can't believe that you flew over to London for this. And I went, hun, I don't think you know who you are. Like, you are Ray. And then before this, she wasn't really doing any pictures. And then she went, we need to get a picture. This man has come over from Belfast. And then she was talking about the time that she played Limelight and there was a whole fight that broke out. And she remembered that. Me and her was just chatting away about that. And she was so lovely. And then after, when the video came out, like, you'll blink and you'll miss me. You see me a few times, but very, quick. And I posted, saying it was just such an amazing experience. And the director, Otis, he sent me a private message and he says, you might have only been on that screen for 1 or 2 seconds, but your energy around really got us the shots from everybody else as well.
Aww.
And I just thought, wow, he is a huge director.
Yeah.
He didn't need to message me. I just thought that was so lovely.
See, the people at the top of their game are so, that's it, humble, professional, encouraging, positive, like all of those things. And, that's what I think is really, really important for any aspect of this, because this business is really tough business.
Yeah.
So when you get the opportunities and, it's being grateful for those opportunities and communicating that in a way to everybody that's around you,
100%.
Like, what the guys that we loved on Top of the Pops, the guys that came in, like, who've had the longest careers, like Neil Diamond, the nicest ever. The guy, you two, love, like, very, very strict about camera angles and all of that, but like so professional and so lovely. The guys from Coldplay, this is whenever I was there.
Yeah.
Alicia Dixon, the nicest, most professional, beautiful woman
Stunning.
ever. And then you look, their careers have been long,
And that's why.
Yeah, and that's why.
Because we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
Your reputation, how you treat people.
Yeah.
It matters.
It really
doesn't
does.
take much to be a nice person to everybody around you.
No.
And it is so important. So again, advice, just be nice.
And authentic.
Yeah, be yourself.
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, that experience with Ray was top tier.
Yeah.
So nice.
What a lovely memory to have.
Yeah, and I have the picture and stuff, and we both look gorgeous, and you know what I mean? And then when I went home, I actually wrote a song called Chillin' with Ray.
Yes.
And I was inspired by that, and it basically, like, it was just about feeling inspired, and you can do anything you want as long as you put the graft in and you just go after it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was a lovely experience. I love London. Like, I don't know if I could live there full time, but I would definitely like to do a stint here and there.
Yeah, like I lived there for about, I think, 6 years. Did I live there for? Or maybe 5 years. 5 years I lived there for, and I loved it, and it was a really cool, fast-paced city to live in. and the jobs I worked obviously in were like really brilliant. But I remember meeting a lady on the tube platform going into work one time, and she started to talk to her, and she was Northern Irish, and she was on her own, and she was a lady who's had grown up children, etc. And I said, "Well, what are you doing? Why are you still here?" She said, "Oh, I miss Northern Ireland so much. I miss it so much." I said, "Well, what are you doing here?" And she said, "Well, my children are grown up and they have children, and now sure I can't leave. I can't leave them." And she looked so sad, and I was like, "I will never be that person."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I will always go back home. I
Yeah.
didn't realize I'd be going home as quickly as I was
Yeah.
going home, but you know, I really like your heart is here. If your heart's here, it's here.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
you can't do anything about it.
No.
You know what I mean? I love home. Like, I get homesick and all when I'm not here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Me too.
I absolutely love talking about all of this stuff because obviously I've known you for years now, but there's still so many things, little stories like this that we don't know about each other.
Yeah.
And the people out there, this is what this is all about, is, you know, giving people advice, letting them into the industry a wee bit more, but also getting to know us a wee bit more.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I think it's so important that we're doing this. And obviously from the feedback and the numbers, people are watching and listening and engaging. And like from both of us, like, we really appreciate that.
Oh, we really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And the lovely messages that you've sent us, we really, really appreciate that because the support means a lot. And, you know, I saw somebody on TikTok, a friend of mine from Portadown, and she said, you know, good on you. You know, if you're out there, not necessarily about us, but about anybody who puts themselves out there, because we could very easily shy away from it and be
Yeah.
like, oh gosh, what are people going to say or think? Is anybody going to watch it?
Yeah.
But we're doing this for the right reasons
Yeah.
to help support people who want to get into the industry. And also, this is a bit of crack.
It's a bit of crack. It
Yeah.
is. That's what it's all about. And also, I don't know if you've seen this yet. We have just got a message from someone on Instagram to our page asking how they inquire about taking some classes after watching our podcast that didn't know anything about us.
Oh, brilliant.
And that is what this is about. If this hits one person
Yeah.
that we can help on their journey, because I'm learning so much as we go as well. But if we can help one person, job done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're inspiring people and we're enjoying having the crack and having the banter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
So thank you everybody for listening and watching. Stay tuned. Lots of big guests coming up. Hey. But for now, this has been Shelley
Lowry
Talent
Talks.
and we'll see you next time.
Bye.